What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty, joined here along. Ooh, my mic even on? Sounds like it might be far away. It should be more clear now. But it's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and play-by-play commentator, joined here along with Forge for the weekly RFL podcast. We are on episode 4 of Season X, and this is the first podcast heading in to Season X's official start. We're about to go ahead and dive into the last week of the preseason. And after we do that, I'm going to ask you, might as well ask you now, Force. I mean, what was your thoughts on the preseason, man? Just in general, and what you were able to see with, guys being able to make a name for themselves, man.
I think my first thought is you got the wrong Thunderbird here on the poster, man. It's supposed to be keep on getting laid out.
I got the bell today, so yeah. Oh man.
No, I think it was nice to finally have the preseason back. Finally, nice to see some rookies that aren't going to get a lot of playing time in the regular season get their time to shine. A lot of quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, because it's a very quarterback heavy draft. C.J. Johnson, Danny Johnson, Corey Baines. Casey Robinson's going to play, but him getting to have some reps in the preseason was just nice and refreshing instead of just jumping straight into week one after these guys were in the college series, waited a year, finally get to play, and then now they got to wait 4 more years to ever see their player again. I think it's just nice that these guys finally got a chance to show themselves.
Yeah, it's great to have it back, like you said, man. A lot of guys that I think one of the best, my favorite parts about the preseason, there's a lot of people that people forget, that played in college series from like 3, 4, even 5 years ago that just have not really, came out to the scene as a major player for their organization that they're currently on. But it's good to just see, some of those guys come back, be able to make some of those plays you remember them making back in their college, collegiate days, still on the rosters, trying to make the team. Currently, right now, for guys who don't know, we've already been making roster cuts, trying to get down to our 53-man roster. So a couple guys today been getting a call, letting them know they're not making the roster. And, that's the reality of the business. I don't think there's any users, of course, that falls in that. But speaking of users and a situation like that, news was posted out from the Chicago Cougars, a good standing community member, and James Ramos called it a career at just 23 years old as a player. And he just, has to be away from the league now. He's got a lot of other things going on in life. And he just wanted to go ahead and just end his player's career. And of course, Coach Roby was, willing to do that. That's something they've been talking about the year prior. So let's get hashtag Ramos in the chat for, the memories and the plays that he was able to, make throughout his RFL career. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back in the near future to make a new player or something like that. But Ramos did some things, man. He even played for the guy that's on here with me, Forbes. So pretty interesting, that he was able to that his career is over. And that just completely solidifies. We already knew when Dylan Lewis got drafted there that the Cougars were looking to move on and really get on with their franchise quarterback. But with that being said, now it's time to go ahead and dive into these games. And let's recap a crazy week 3, as we got to see 3 quarters of play from the starters. In the first game we got to see was Jacob McCall versus his former team. And boy, he showed out, got it done, and he actually outplayed Geno Gannon. Now, the statistics might not show it, but he at least threw a touchdown. And somehow Geno Gannon still managed to have a nice looking stat line. But it was shaky in that game for him. The Elks were able to generate a lot of pressure. And Jacob McCall, man, came out looking the best as he was able to lead the Elks over the Black Knights 19-15 to stop the Black Knights from going undefeated. And they technically went undefeated themselves with a 2-0-1 record. Thoughts on this game?
I think my biggest takeaway here is that if you're an Elks fan, you have to be at least a little bit excited. McCall had that rough year last year, but he's come out, had a solid preseason, didn't take any losses, and has looked really solid and really promising. If they can build on this regular season, take it or build on this preseason and take it into the regular season, they could surprise some people. I'm not sure, how far they get with the Snowhawks, Condors, and Crusaders in their division, but this is at least a promising start for a player you traded for in the offseason to be your future.
Yeah, definitely should be a. I'm trying to get the rest of these games up real fast, but definitely should be interesting to see how he plays during the regular season, carrying in that momentum. Uh, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next team. Not trying to waste too much time on these games, guys, since we do have to move into some more things heading into the season. If you didn't see the thumbnail, we're going to be going into division predictions for the year. I didn't add this too, but we're also just going to throw out who we think wins the Relo Bowl this year, and then also going into the top 10 power rankings heading into, of course, season X, which we'll get into after all of that. So game two, which was on Tuesday, which was two games, of course, every time. We had the Snowhawks versus the Bisons. Now, the Snowhawks dominated this one 30-6. Kind of was expected due to the fact that, this Snowhawks team is absolutely stacked. This was actually their first preseason win, though. The starters look absolutely amazing within those three quarters. Bisons didn't even score any points offensively. They scored their touchdown off a kick return touchdown from Michael Romo, which was, amazing to see. Didn't get their 2-point conversion they tried afterwards, and the Snowhawks, handled business. Thoughts on this victory here for the Snowhawks, and also thoughts on the Bisons and how they looked through the preseason with the hype they had coming in off their draft.
For the Snowhawks, I mean, they get a dominant win here, but I'm worried about the Snowhawks offensive line. This is back to back games going to preseason week 2 with the Bulldogs, and then preseason week 3 here with the Bisons, where Joseph Gidley, who played 2 quarters and then 3 quarters respectively, was sacked 9 times in 5 quarters. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, we have injuries turned off in the preseason, but if he sacked 9 times in 5 quarters, we get to the regular season, he's playing 4 quarters. You're looking at another 7 sacks in one full game. Take that throughout a season. I think it's just something to look at. Joseph Gidley's in his 30s. Could be cause for concern there. Just the Seahawks O line has not been as dominant as we've seen in past years, and that could be worrisome for a high expectation team. And for the Bisons, 3 live games in a row here in the preseason. I don't think the Bisons have ever had 3 straight live games in RFL history. They usually one of the bottom feeder teams. Um, not the best game from Bo Sanders. Only got 5 carries, but Ethan Marks, what a what a way to end the preseason. Had 3 sacks himself and was dominating that Snowhawks offensive line.
Yeah, great performance from him. Jacob McDonald, I think did I mention him? I think he tore it up on the ground, man, for the Snowhawks. It looks like my concern that you brought up too with the Snowhawks is the run defense doesn't seem to be the run blocking doesn't seem to be too bad, but it's the pass blocking for Joseph Gilly that can raise those concerns in which you talked about. But the run game was great, and I also want to give a shout out to Pecan too. He did a good job with the time he had finally being able to mesh in, showing he's a starter, making some plays. Following that game that you called, you had Pecan, speak of the devil, and the booth in Pittsburgh, and the Pioneers being one of the 4 teams to finish I guess, 4.5 teams to finish undefeated in the RFL preseason. As they were able to best the Lumberjacks by a pretty large margin there towards the end. It just really separated once the backups came in. But 45-28 was the final score. I was very impressed with Javier Santana. He looked like he knew what was on the line. We talked about it for a couple of weeks. You were the first one to bring it up on the podcast to say, "Hey, man, I don't know about this 5'9" quarterback with this Madden. Is he going to be able to showcase he's able to make the plays?" He looked average at best last week in week 2. As just finishing out the game with a half, we saw Kyle Bain look really good. Kyle Bain just got a quarter here, but we put Javier Santana with the starters this time, and he was just showing out every opportunity he could. He showed off the deep ball, he showed off the accuracy. He just flat out balled in this game. Great ball placement. And he was able to help lead the Pioneers over the Lumberjacks, who we know is a really good team, who also had a great show on themselves, especially in the run game. But this 45-28 victory. Tell me about it. What's your thoughts on it?
Hey man, credit where it's due. Javier came out here and shut me up. Said, "Hey, I'm the starter here. It's gonna stay that way." I do think you have the graphic. I think he went 10 for 13, not 10 for 23.
Yeah, that might have been a typo right there. My
Yeah,
bad.
because I
I was about
thought
to
I
say
thought
he
he had.
missed more than half
I
the
don't. I
game.
don't think he went
Yeah,
under
yeah,
50%. Yeah,
yeah,
just a great game from the Pioneers all around. What a great story. Javier got the start last year, missed the playoffs by week 17, and has come out and had a 3-0 preseason. And they're another team just like the Elks that looks promising. Want to carry that into the regular season and try to make their first ever playoff appearance. And obviously, just real quick, Zach Tank has been tearing it up all preseason. They got themselves a stud in that guy.
yeah. And that 1-2 punch is going to look crazy with him and Witherspoon because Witherspoon was also taking off too. There goes that another Sonic and Knuckles combination. This the reason why I wanted to make this game live too was just off the 1-2 punch running backs from both squads because D'Amico Brewer and John Copey was ridiculous on the ground as well, especially
Mhm.
D'Amico Brewer, man. I can't wait to see what both of these teams' run game looks like towards the end of the season. But yeah, very high hopes for both of these teams. Of course, you're Jordan Granger too, with that offense, man. Great showing and a good win though there for the Pioneers to finish their season undefeated. One of them was going to do it. And so we get into the premier games, and how about this one after an 0-2 start with some rough looking games for the Aviators? Uh, Casey Robinson able to lead the Aviators with 3 quarters of play with the starters over the Tampa Bay Tigers. Now, I wasn't expecting this one. He had a great showing, kept control of the football, was scrambling, getting those extra yards. And I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game, including a long one. And that's what helped really lead the Aviators over the top in this one. Thoughts on the Aviators, man, finishing their preseason with a win 24-17 over the Tigers.
And man, this is what you want to see from the guy who was drafted under a 70 overall, is going to go into the season as the starting quarterback. Um, just a very high level game. 80% completion, 2 touchdowns for the air, had one 30-yard rushing touchdown.
Okay, that's what it was. Two passes.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns for the air. But what you saw from the Aviators, what you want to see when you have a guy like Casey Robinson as your quarterback. The team, I think, for the first time this preseason, really relied on Kingston Kenny. As you can see, 12 yards a carry, 10 for 122, and a touchdown himself. KC with 55 on the ground. Oh no, I'm sorry. Casey Robinson was the one who had 120 yards on the ground,
Yeah,
and then
throw it up.
yeah, reversed them. But they just finally leaned on their run game, which I don't think they had been doing throughout this preseason.
Yeah.
And if they continue to do that, I'm not saying it's going to be a very successful season, but I think this could be a huge year of growth for Casey Robinson and the Aviators.
Yeah, that's a big win there too, because the Tigers are looking pretty good this preseason as well. We know their team is stacked, and 3 quarters of play against the starters to pull off a win like this and make it look that way, and to get 122 yards against that defense, he was really catching them at vulnerable moments with those scrambles, and they just didn't have anything for the rookie. So a great job right there. Uh, Following this game, well, same time as this game at 4 p.m. Eastern, we got the Steamers and the Sentinels, and this is gonna be the first bell of the night right here, man. That was an absolute massacre. No one expected the Sentinels to come out and do what they did, besting the Steamers by 30 points. Now, of course, Reed Wagner was not the starter of this game, which, a difference between Jaden Young. I know it's a lot of hype around Jaden Young, but he is not Reed Wagner. Of course, Reed Wagner, a veteran quarterback who we know can really get the offense going, but cannot take away what the Sentinels were able to do in this matchup, especially their running back, Damani Manuel. He had 5 total touchdowns, 4 rushing and 1 receiving. DWJ was looking efficient out there, and they just dominated at home in front of their home crowd to end the preseason. 43-13. What's your takeaways from this game?
Jen Young, shake it off, man. It's a rookie moment. You got 3 quarters against the starters, and for Coach Justin Jones, you had 2 rookie quarterbacks play the entire game. 4 total interceptions. But it's the preseason. This is the time to let them go out there, grip it and rip it, just see what they can do. On the other side, though, this is what you want to see from the Sentinels, who have had a lot of offseason issues, we'll say, to end on a high note here, scoring over 40 points on this Steamers team. You talked about Demond Emmanuel, three on the ground, two in the air,
I'm mixing up.
240 total yards. Yeah,
Yeah.
220, 240 total yards on the ground. This is the guy that if the Sentinels want to have a successful season, it needs to go through DWJ and Demond Emmanuel.
That's for sure. That's for sure, man. Big time victory right there for the Sentinels, and we'll see if this carries on for them moving forward. I think this they win. Is this the only game they won during the preseason? No, they had to
Yeah,
tie, so they went one,
they had to tie. Yeah.
one, 1-1. That was their their record for the preseason. Checked every tally. And so we go into the 6 p.m. Eastern games on Wednesday, and we had an unrecorded game here, but we expected the Huskies to get it done against the Monarchs and Rodney, and they did exactly that. I'll play the bell for Rodney, though. Guy thought he was recording the game, and he wasn't. The game did get recorded in terms of statistics and being played out officially, but did not have it where we could see it. And the Huskies were able to win it by 20, man, 33-13. Just looking at the stat line, it looked like a big day from from wide receiver Tyrese Maxwell. I know he had some big yards in there. Calvin Poole was able to do a couple things. So it's really not too much we could talk about in this game because we didn't get to see it. But the Huskies get the win here over the Monarchs. Anything you want to say about this game, or do you want to move on to the next one?
Since we didn't really get to watch it, I can just look at the stat lines and stuff. So there's not much to say other than, this is now back to back games where the Monarchs have struggled. You know, um, Again, for people who don't know, we have to build all the teams and all the players during preseason week one. And so that's when the Monarchs looked really, really good. But then we advanced, and then he looked okay, and then we advanced, and now they're starting to look like maybe what we think they might actually be. So I'm just ready to see what Rodney does in the regular season because this was not a good showing by the Monarchs according to this stat line.
The other 6 p.m. Eastern game, we had the Crusaders and the Bulls. After the Bulls got stomped on by your team, they whipped themselves right back in shape, made some big changes, switched their defense from a 3-4 to now a 4-3, and they looked really good against an explosive offense that the Crusaders have. As they were able to win it 33-19. David Jones looking like he's back to the old David Jones, in which we know last season was his worst year as a starter for the Bulls. But he's looking really good. You can see from this picture that of this graphic, man, he had a nice run, juked out of the fence, stiff armed the guy first, hit the juke move, and then stretched out the ball with one hand here to get it across the pylon for the touchdown. It was just great showing. New assistant coach and Nick Firestorm talked about trying to get that run game established. He found a way to get it done with the change in the offense. And again, the defense did its thing. Thoughts on this matchup here?
Definitely a huge adjustment. I'm just looking through this game, the starters, so Devin Wade and Kevin Pride put together through 34 passes with 31 completions. 90% completion throughout the entire game. So that's definitely something they had to focus on between last week and this week, throwing those two interceptions. And I think you just hit the nail right on the head. Getting David Jones more involved. We all know this is a run heavy Madden, so it's going to be very running back, centric and focused. And the teams who can do that the best, I think, are going to be the most successful. So just giving David Jones back to his prime form is what they need to do.
A big time win right there and shake back for the Bulls to get that momentum back in favor heading to the regular season. Got to the final game slot of Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We had you guys taking on the Celtic Tigers. Diablos falling short there, 14-10. Had a game-winning pick six from the undrafted free agent rookie who was signed by the Celtic Tigers, and Jarek Root took a pick six, which gave them the lead. They held on to it. Not the best conditions. I remember it being some rain in there, so it was a little slippery. And Celtic Tigers come out on top here, 14-10. Takeaways from your game.
I thought it was a great game from both sides. A lot of you could tell it was a rain game by watching the game, obviously with all the rain, but both sides were falling down. Euro Winbush made some crazy plays
Yeah.
in the first half to put them on top. Um, but yeah, just obviously a low scoring game. They caught the Tigers with a winning pick six. Um, and then for anyone who didn't see, we officially announced that Colorado Rivers is going to be the starter going into the season. And I
Shout out
just
to
think McCafton
Rivers.
didn't like that and just threw the pick six to lose the game.
Yeah, that was tough, man. And y'all already had the lead. It was 10-7, and I remember y'all were driving down. Potentially, should have probably scored on that drive, and then that pick six happened. But Jarek Root showing his worth right there, saying, "Hey, man, nobody drafted me. Let me go ahead and make a play." He's very fast corner. He's 93, which was why he was eye candy in the free agency for the Celtic Tigers, who at the time only had three cornerbacks on the roster. And so they signed this guy as one of their main out of three undrafted rookies they took, and there he is making an immediate impact for the team. Big time win right there. And like you said, with Euro Winbush, he did a great job. And also with that game, you had the DC Marshals and the Hogs going at it in Cincinnati. Now you talk about a rain game. This was slippery, and we saw one of the craziest slip and slide touchdown runs from Terrence Ward as he was able to cut back, fake, and somehow keep his balance while faking out about five defenders who just could not slow down and kept running out of view. And then he just turned on the Jets and was able to run back off a crazy cutback. And the DC Marshals were pretty much dominant throughout this one. Once the backups came in, that's when the Hogs started to try to make things close, and it got 22-15. I believe the first drive of the game when the backups came in with Lane Kearney, he was able to score. They were able to score on a touchdown bomb to Caleb Godfrey, and that's what helped get them some momentum back. But this was really DC's game for the most part, all the way until those backups came in. Big time win again there by Coach Hodge, and continuing to ride off of that momentum. I mean, 3-0 in the preseason, crazy second half finish from last year. What's your thoughts on the Marshals and how they're looking coming back into this season after what they did in this game?
Yeah, this game was definitely not as close as this score shows. The Marshals were up 22-0 going into the fourth, and then the Hogs scored all of their points in the fourth quarter with the backups. But the two biggest takeaways here, I think, for Coach Hodge has to be another new explosive running back duo with Terrence Ward and Vince Reed, putting up over 200 combined yards together. And then I went to go look. The Marshals have forced the most fumbles this preseason, and Frederick Roper has forced four fumbles himself. The next
Crazy.
closest is two. So if Frederick Roper just keeps laying the boom like that, they're just going to keep winning. They keep creating turnovers like that.
Yeah, it definitely got some heavy hitters. And I guess another question I can raise from this game is the quarterback play for the Hogs, right? 3 quarters starting for Ronnie Shanahan. This was one of the big reasons as to why they signed Lane Kearney coming into this season. Last year, the pass game was just obsolete, and you had the rookie quarterback learning, finding his footing. He got better towards the end of the season, helped lead them to the ARC championship. But no running back like they had last year, and Dre Shivers. They still got a pretty good backup with Haynes, but uh, you need to be able to pass the football to get to that next level. That's what the Hogs need. Shanahan didn't look all too great here, and it was a big evaluation for this game to see what he was able to do against a team like the Marshals for 3 quarters. And then you got to see Lane Kearney come in with the backups and just completely shift the narrative. Uh, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that Ronnie Shanahan is going to should be concerned about if his play slips, Lane Kearney coming in and leading the team the whole way, or do you think that Shanahan might be able to hold on to it and just have a good backup quarterback for him when needed?
I think that's ultimately going to come down to how close or how far the Hogs end up being from playoff contention. But yeah, he should definitely be worried. He's only a 76 overall right now. The top three quarterbacks drafted in this year have all already passed his overall.
Yeah,
You have Lewis, who's an 80, Young's a 79 and Rivers a 78. All three are already higher than Ronnie Shanahan after just 3 preseason games. Whereas Lane Kearney is an 88 overall X Factor who's a veteran, been in MVP races, been in playoff games, has excelled in these moments. And so if Ronnie Shanahan, if we're in another situation like last year where they're one game out of the playoffs with 5 weeks left and they have the 30-second passing offense like they did last year, I think it's a no-brainer that Kearney comes in because he's just the better quarterback option. Now I understand playing Ronnie Shanahan because he's the young guy, he's supposed to be the future of the franchise, but Lane Kearney gives him a better chance to win now. And if Ronnie Shanahan isn't doing his job, he can very easily be replaced if the situation calls for it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out throughout the season. Another storyline for the RFL community to follow right there. So stay tuned and locked in on that one. Then we get into the Thursday night premiere games as well. This was in the afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern. Baltimore Gunners versus the Bulldogs. Now the score says 37-24, but the Gunners were actually up by the time the backups came in. So that kind of shocked. I thought that the Bulldogs would run away with this one. Towards the end, they did. But, that was kind of interesting to see. The Gunners still having some fight to them. They did a little better than expected last year. Um, and the Hawks, just were able to close it. Excuse me, not the Hawks. The Bulldogs were able to close it out there to make things look good in their favor. What's your takeaways from this game, and how that looked with the starters, and are there any concerns you might have for the Bulldogs with that look, or would you say it's more of a great look from from the Gunners as to not be a team to sleep on if you have them on the schedule?
Yeah, I think this more so has to do with just the Gunners having one of their better days.
Yeah,
I always say that is it Tyon or Tion?
Tyon.
Tyon.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tyon just had a great game. 12 of 15, 135 yards and a touchdown. Gotti has to do better.
Gaddy. Remember that one?
Gaddy.
Gaddy.
I feel like I did that when I called their game 2 weeks ago. I
Yeah,
kept
you
saying
did.
Gotti.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gaddy, if I ever
There's
have a
only one
Bulldogs game
God,
again,
son. Yeah.
if I ever call a Bulldogs game again, Gaddy.
Yeah.
Gaddy had a rough game throwing under 60% completion, but again, that's what the preseason's for. To shake off some of that rust, get ready for the regular season. So it's better to have that kind of play now. But I think I agree with what you said. It's more about the Gunners just having a good game and making it close than it was, just being shocked by this outcome.
Like Hodge says in the chat, Yo Gotti. Maybe you're thinking about him. But yeah, I was very impressed with Tyon. One thing I'm about to say also from a guy shaping back into form, and he was dominant in his years past. Had a phenomenal season back in season 7. The last couple years after that just didn't seem to be himself, and Gunners were looking to move on. Didn't get a running back in the draft just based off of where they placed him, what they ended up having to get instead based off needs. Ronnie Nickens looks like he's about to have a bounce back year, and like you said, I know this is about to be the year of the backs because clearly we're seeing it in RFL play. But Ronnie Nickens has been tearing it up in the preseason. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. Even when the backup running back Abraham Powers had his crazy phenomenal day, he was tearing it up before him. Then at his pace, he could have probably even did better. And then on top of that, he's showing off some hands. The first touchdown pass Tyon threw was a deep left corner streak 1-on-1, and he mossed the defender for the touchdown, which is crazy. Didn't expect him to make that catch. He's not typically known to be a pass catcher. He did have his best pass catching year when the Gunners had that phenomenal year in season 7, but did not expect him to make that play. Didn't expect him to make a lot of the plays we've been seeing him make during the preseason, and yeah, he looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with once again for this Gunners offense. The other 4 p.m. Eastern game on Thursday, we had the Desperados toppling the Dreadnoughts 47-29. This game kind of got out of hand with the starters. Marquise Washington continuing to shred. I think they had 21 points to nothing, or if anything, 21-3, something like that. Even the backup Jacarius Best came in and he did his thing. Had a pair of touchdowns. I think he had one rushing and one off a screen. As you can see here from this photo, he stiff armed the guy on towards his way after confiscating some ankles. But big win for the Desperados. Thoughts on the Dreadnoughts, man? How they end their season, and of course we've been hearing a lot of controversy again. I didn't get to talk about this last week because we weren't on the podcast. But what do you think about the controversy with the quarterback situation too for San Antonio?
Man, um, I don't know what Frankie's gonna do. I don't really think Owen Jack or Matt Jones has looked great in this preseason. I think the quarterback that's looked the best has been their third string Clemens, but he's playing with backups the whole time. You're not gonna play a 68 overall over Owen Jack and Matt Jones
Mhm.
unless he wants to pull a Roland.
Yeah.
But I'm just interested to see what he does because it's the same thing we said at the beginning. It's weird that he decides to Patreon Matt Jones but won't commit to him as a starter because now he's stuck doing that for the
Yeah.
rest of the year. But it also doesn't make sense to. I don't think Owen Jack has done anything. I don't think Owen Jack has been bad enough to warrant being benched after his year last year either.
Yeah.
So he's just in a weird spot to where he just has to decide which quarterback's going to give him the best chance to win and pick him now. And then if he's going to switch because it's not working out, he needs to make that decision fast and not wait until week 15. But there's definitely a quarterback controversy here right now because I don't think either one has looked great.
Yeah, not really too much to say about that. That was more so the storyline of topic to go into on that one. This is a great showing by the Desperados. I mean, they always look pretty good um, at in this stage of the season, right? It's the postseason that really strikes them the most. But we'll see if anything can be different in that regards. Again, still being in one of the toughest division in which they won last year. So we'll see if they can still keep up with it. They look good. Going into the 6 p.m. Eastern games, had the Barons and the Voyagers. Low scoring game here. 17-15 was the final. Couple of games, though, we have not seen the best of Jabri Jackson. He's shown his ability to be able to scramble and make some plays, but the offense just hasn't really been able to gel and put it all together just yet. But they are finding ways to win, and they are one of the few teams that finished their preseason undefeated at 3-0. Do you think he flips it around and gets better, or is does that raise some concerns with the Barons? And what's your takeaways, from Voyagers and the Barons as a whole within this game?
Um, I mean, I think he has to turn around. He's one of, if not the only two-time MVP in this league. Still a high overall, have studs all around him offensively and defensively. Um, I think we'd be crazy to say that he can't turn around, but I do think it needs to be sooner rather than later. You know, it's been a conversation that the Voyagers aren't the team that they used to be all offseason, and only putting up 17 points is a little concerning if you're the Barons offense, especially with the division they're in. They can't afford to have a slow start.
Yeah, nothing really too much to say there. What thoughts on the Voyagers here? Again, like you said, we already know that they're not the same team. They put up a pretty good fight. Would you say that this game was more of a just good showing of the coach behind it to make them competitive, or again, does that go back to what we were saying, where the Barons just are coming out here slow when they know they could put more out on the field, more so towards Jabri Jackson and his play.
I mean, it's definitely a mixture of both. Baker's one of the better coaches here, I'd say. And he's just gotten to a point where he had one of the older teams, and now it's just time to retool. And I think he's getting the best that he can out of them. But it also has to go with the Barons have a brand new quarterback,
Mm.
and they need some time to figure it out. So it's definitely just a mixture of both.
All right, in the other 6 p.m. game, we had the Condors, as you can see from the graphic card, Jaguar leaving the Dillo stank on the road. 48-17 was the final score. Clark Jaguar tore these guys up, uh, made some ridiculous catches. I think he had 3 touchdown catches. Chase McCoy was
Yep.
killing them. And in terms of the Armadillos, this is the second week in a row in which Coach Rowland decided, hey, I don't want to put my starting guys out there. I'd rather look at my backups to see what I have. What's your thoughts on that strategy of his? And just the overall takeaway from this game. We even seen some good play from Corey Baines once again as he was able to run one in for a touchdown.
I don't know what Roland's doing. Um, the preseason's the only time you really get to test in the file, even if it is just one game, and there are no injuries. So I don't understand the point of not playing your starters and just having your second strings play three quarter and then having your third strings play the last quarter isn't really helping your team. You know, you can test offline all you want, but these are the only three chances you're gonna get to see how your books and your schemes and your abilities play in the file. Um, so yeah, I don't I obviously I didn't do it. I don't like the strategy. I think he's just wasting opportunity for what's best for his team, and I think it showed.
Big win there. It's not really too much for me to say off this game again because we haven't seen a real look yet of the Armadillos except for week one. Which if anybody tunes in to Roland's podcast, he was talking about it, saying that I think and within just that little showing, he was able to see all he needed to see with how Chumley was looking and Maurice Starman, and he just wanted to develop his young guys with this time instead. And so we'll see how that pans out for him and if the Dillos can actually look more crisp with this, with the lack of the ability to play with those starters. So with testing of those starters, excuse me. And so we get to the final 8 p.m. Eastern games of Thursday. We had the Explorers taking on the Red Dragons. It was a solid game. Two defensive touchdowns from the Columbus Explorers in this one. The defense was hitting out there. Still a unit to be afraid of course. We had a forced fumble from DeMarco Lando that I can remember that was scooped up by Darius Young. As you can see from this photo, he picked it up one hand, took it all the way to the crib for a touchdown. Daryl Johnson then ran one in for a touchdown. And then we saw a pick six from Rashad Chamberlain. So those were the two touchdowns, and Daryl Johnson was looking very efficient. Red Dragons losing this one, though, by 11. Thoughts on this one?
I'm a little scared for the Red Dragons. I know they won their division last year, and DJ Scott is looking really good now. But this is now they're one of the few teams who finished 0-3 in the preseason, and a lot of it had to do with the shaky quarterback play from Savoy. And if you look at their backup quarterback, Morris Justice isn't doing great either in these three games. It could be something to do with his scheme or his playbook, but I just don't like how the Red Dragons offense is moving right now, and that's very concerning for me. For the Explorers, this is how Bill built the team to win before he retired: is to dominate on defense so the offense can just coast. He's just was a good enough coach to build up a great offense to go along with the great defense.
Yeah. Yeah, so nothing really too much to say there. Explorers looking to bounce back after missing the playoffs for the first time in franchise history last year. And that was under the last year of Bill, and looking to try to bounce back for their old former coach here and see if they could get back to the promised land. Who knows, even compete for a Reload Bowl as expected. But then we go on to the other 8 p.m. Eastern game, and we had the Miners getting the victory at home in Sacramento over the Boston Shamrocks. Now this was a great performance from the backup quarterback here who was traded from Memphis, and Kurt Peterson. He had an amazing uh, throw on the run touchdown. Kind of remind me of his Iowa days where he was just running forward, gunned it, and was able to find Trent Williams for a touchdown. He actually found him twice in the end zone for a touchdown within this game. And the Shamrocks already scored 10 points. With the starters in, you take away those 14 points. It was a competitive game, 13-10. And so really good showing on both sides in that regards. Scoring, we know, is a little more difficult in this Madden. It's a lot more realistic. It's not easy to get, a bulk of points like that. Easy to score 30, 40 plus points. And both of these guys got some really good defenses. So that showed. And yeah, the Miners were able to separate. Thoughts on this game?
I mean, I think you just kind of said it all right there. It was just a good game from the starting units of both of these teams, keeping it close, competitive. It is just hard to score. Miles McCain looked good. Tom Wilson looked good. I do want to see more from Piku McCullough, who they traded for. Obviously, this is if running backs are up, receivers are probably down. In terms of how Madden works. But they traded for a 99 overall receiver because they felt like they needed some more help in the passing game. And we haven't really seen much from him yet. Obviously, we expect him to get involved more and more. He's only had 3 games with the minors, but I want to see them getting Pico involved more.
Yeah. I already said my piece about that one. So that's going to take us into the game of the week. And boy, what a game it was to close out the preseason. Thunderbirds and Cougars was absolute cinema. This game was before that last, literally final play, 95-yard touchdown run from Rashad Boston. You take away the 7 point. I don't think they kicked the extra point there. So you take away the 6 points. It was 27-20, really. And then they just busted out that big touchdown run. But man, the run game in general for this game was unstoppable. But what I liked the most from this game from both teams is these were two teams that struggled to move the football offensively. And we got to see, even with their good defenses, that the offenses uh, could not really be stopped. Great efficiency from both squads. More so, of course, the T Birds. They had more of a better passing game. LC3 looked laser focused and efficient in his play. Only missed 4 out of 25 passes, 252 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, not a single interception. Both running backs, Marcus Knight and Hodge, were just tearing it up. They were just unstoppable, man. Takeaways from this final game of the preseason and these guys' performances. What stood out to you the most?
Well, I mean, it has to be the run game, like you brought up. Both teams finished with over 200 yards rushing. The Cougars with 220, the Thunderbirds with 257 rushing. So combined, almost 500 yards rushing in this game
Yeah,
from both
477.
teams.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, last year, Coach Rob felt like he couldn't get Darnell Hodge going. Well, here you go, 150 in preseason week 3. That definitely gets him going. You know, last year was a down year for LC3. It finishes the preseason with 250 yards, 90% completion, and 2 touchdowns. I think these are, even with a loss, both of these teams should be riding high into the playoff or into the regular season after this game.
All around great performance. I think we hit on mainly everything that needed to be talked about there. And so, with that being said, that is it for the recaps of week 3. And so now we're going to save, of course, the upcoming week schedule for like towards the end. I don't think we're going to have fun facts, Pat. Did I get anything from Pat yet? Nope, none from Pat. So, no fun facts with Pat this week. Um, so, we'll have open questions for the community. Next, we're going to move into the divisions. All right. So then after I get into this, I'm going to also do the top 10 power rankings. So this is it. Here goes the regular season content you guys have been waiting for. We're going to go ahead and make predictions. Well, I'm going to show my predictions on who I think will win, on where I think the placement will be for each division in the RFL. Of course, starting in the first original division, which was the ARC, and we're starting from north, south, east, west. And so ARC North is up first. And this is how I think the seeding is going to go once season X is all said and done. So here we go. Well, let me just do this also for the chat. Who do you think wins the ARC North? Throw a couple suggestions out there, man. Let me see what the guys are thinking before I show it.
So what? That's the Huskies, the Cougars, the Hogs, and who's the 14?
Pioneers.
The Pioneers. So the Pioneers missed it. The Cougars missed it. So yeah, the Hogs won the North last year.
Mm-hmm.
The Hogs won it last year, and the other 3 teams missed the playoffs.
All right, so I know you're going to go through it with your all four placement, but if you had to choose let's just start each one without who you think would win the division. So who do you think would win the
I,
North this year?
who I think wins the North. I think I'm going to take. That's hard. I'm between the Huskies and the Cougars for who I think win the North this year.
Mhm.
And I think I'm going to go with the Huskies because I feel like they're a more complete team right now.
All right, so here we go. I see some guesses in here. A lot of Huskies got Cougars after their draft. Here are my predictions for the ARC North. I'm actually going with the Huskies to
Ooh.
win it. And then in second place, I think it's the Hogs, third Pioneers, and then fourth Cougars. I know guys are going to be like, what? Cougars? Well, that's the thing. I think, there's a lot of hype around the Cougars and what they got, right? But now it has to be proven. And I don't think guys want to sleep on the rest of those teams in the division. Pioneers, you already seen even since last season and what they've done in the preseason going undefeated. This is not a team to sleep on at all. Hogs, they're a serious team who was able to make it with an abysmal passing game because of how good their defense is. Ronnie Shanahan has gotten better, but of course we're seeing those controversial situations where he might not be the quarterback for them at least for this season. And they just ended up getting Lane Kearney to step in. So with Lane Kearney stepping in, if he comes in at that point, I mean, these guys are in a good position too to fight for a higher positioning in the during the season. So that's how I feel like it's going to go this season for the ARC North. And I know guys is going to get riled up about that one, man. It's like Cougars at the fourth. Being fourth doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a bad season, but I just feel like those other teams have also improved as well. And so it's hard to sleep on that and give them that that launch, that boost over those other teams after a draft. Just got to see it.
Yeah, I'm with the chat here. I don't think the Hogs defense stays top three in every stat like they were last year. They were number one in sacks, number three in fumbles, number four in interceptions, number one in defensive rushing per game. Um, I don't I don't think they're going to fall to a bottom 10 defense, but I don't think they're going to be top five in everything again. And with losing Dre Shivers, with the uncertainty around Ronnie Shanahan and not knowing when Lane Kearney will come in, I don't think there's any way I could put the Hogs all the way up in second. I I think I would, with your rankings, flip the Cougars and the Hogs. I think it would go. I would have Huskies, Cougars, Pioneers, Hogs.
Respectable, respectable. All right, so that's the North. Next is the South. These will also be getting posted on the social media, so be on the lookout for that. So for the ARC South, who do you guys think will win that division? In the ARC
There's
South,
the
um,
Dreadnoughts, the Voyagers,
Armadillos. Yep,
Armadillos, and the Sentinels.
yep. So who do we think wins the South division, man? Let's see, San Antonio Dreadnoughts first. Dreadnoughts QPOC says, along with Rashad Mitchell. I see a lot of guys going Dreadnoughts here with Coach Frankie. This was a team that was hot that I felt should have won it last year, and then they just tapered off. It was just a bad second half of the season for them. Um, and so here we go. Oh yeah, what's your prediction? Who do you think wins the South?
I feel like, just on paper, before we see anything else, I kind of feel like it has to be the Dreadnoughts. Um, the Sentinels have a good quarterback in DWJ, have Demond Manuel, but they're not a better team than the Dreadnoughts. We've talked about the Voyagers' issues. They're not a better team than the Dreadnoughts. I think the same thing with the Armadillos. The Armadillos have pieces, but the Dreadnoughts are the best team in that division overall.
So here are my ARC South division predictions for season 10. I too agree. I think the Dreadnoughts, this should be their division to win. Coming in second place, I'm going to go with Coach Roland and the Dillos. third, the Sentinels, and then fourth, the Voyagers. What really got me really with the Sentinels is just I really feel like the dynamic of their running back, man, of what Damani Man is able to do. Now, granted, injury could mess things up, but I just feel like they have a lot of firepower and they do have the ability to compete, with these teams. And then of course we've seen the Voyagers take some major steps back just off the pieces they had to sell, right? No more Carter Delahart, so the pass rush is different. He's relying on younger guys or lower overalls to try to get the job done. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I think the Voyagers have taken a hard enough hit that even with great coaching from Baker, that could really put them behind. And so that's the reason why I have them last and the Sentinels at third. But I feel like 1 and 2 should definitely be the Dreadnoughts or the Armadillos. But the Dreadnoughts should come out this year and not fall off like they did last season. Anything else you
Yeah,
want to say
I
about them?
would I would have the same ranking you have for this division.
Okay. Now, next is the ARC East. In the ARC East, that was the most
Oh, this
competitive
is a fun
division
one.
last year, man. They had the Dublin Celtic Tigers, the Brooklyn Bulls, the London Bulldogs, and the London Black Knights. So two London teams. Of course, that's one of the big rivalries in the RFL, the Battle of London, we like to call it. Who do you guys think wins the ARC East out of those four teams? Got
Yeah,
the
this
London
this is
Black Knights.
definitely this is definitely a fun division with the Bulls, Bulldogs, Black Knights, and CT. This division last year where everyone just swept each other.
Yeah, definitely the most interesting division, fun division to watch. Best division in RFL football last year. Could be the same thing this year. I'm seeing some Bulldogs. Bulldogs are Celtic Tigers here. Number 1 and 2, Bulldog CT. Cap Euros. That's cute. What do Euros say? Best division for. Oh, yeah. I guess we could talk about that after we go over this too. Which division you think is going to be the most competitive? Because there are some other divisions that might rival that this year, especially yours. Uh,
I was going to say, I think mine is like hands down the best division this year.
Yeah, we'll get into it though afterwards. But yeah, I see you guys already having their predictions. Who do you think wins the East?
I think it was real competitive last year, but just looking at these teams, I think this is a no brainer Bulldogs because CT took a hard regression hit. The Black Knights are building something, and I think they're going to be really good really soon, especially with Gino Gannon and Amari over there.
Mm.
But the Bulldogs are just dominant, and the same thing with the Bulls. The Bulls are always one of those middling teams, usually on the higher end of that middle tier. But the Bulldogs are always top five, so I think this is an easy. Bulldogs should win this for me.
Yeah, so my predictions for the East goes as follows, and I agree. The London Bulldogs should take this division. It was crazy. Had that I mean, they all had great seasons last year, but they were beating the crap out of each other so much that crazy enough, the Bulldogs fell to the last team in the ARC last year. And that even opens up the door for them to even have a better season because that means they have a lighter schedule. And with the talent they have, they should be able to dominate. And with the fall offs that we've seen, other than the Black Knights, I think this is a wide open division for them to take. Even with brand new coach Bartman, who's I think has came in and really shown that he knows what he's doing, and he can really elevate this team to potentially try to break the record for the most championships by an organization, as they already have two tied with the San Diego Red Dragons. But yeah, first place I got the Bulldogs, second Black Knights, third the Bulls, and fourth, I have CT. I think this is going to be the year where CT finally takes that big hit that affects them. They've never had a losing season in franchise history, and there's a good chance that this year might be the case. They're also facing some financial troubles, which we'll see if that affects them in the near future as well, as they might even be facing some suspensions. But thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, you already said it with the Bulldogs, but you agree with the placement here?
The Celtic Tigers are one of those teams because they have a quarterback like Justin Jones. It wouldn't surprise me if they were a sneaky 9-8 team who just misses the playoffs by 2 games. And with injuries. I feel like this division is still very much where the worst team in this division is going to be 8 and 9 or 9 or 8. The Bulldogs are just going to happen to be one of those teams who we're predicting here to be like 13 and 4 and just be the top of the conference 1 seed kind of thing. And then every other team is fighting for a wild card or just barely missing it. I could see. I think one is solidified, but you could have put any order for 2, 3, and 4, and I would have agreed with you.
Gotcha. All right, and the last division of the ARC is the ARC West. And so this consists of the Red Dragons, the Miners, the blanking,
Aviators,
Aviators, and
the
the
Bisons.
Bisons. So thoughts on who you guys think will win the ARC West this year? And who do you think might get it done for us?
And just so you guys know in the chat that Tajay is the starter this year.
Yeah,
Timmy Merritt is the backup.
Tajay, yo,
For
Gotti.
the West, Tajay Gotti.
Gaddy.
Gotti. In the West, for me, I think it's not as close as what others think. I think this division goes to the Miners again. I don't think they won it last year, but
They
they've
didn't
won
win
it
last
two
year,
or
but
three
yeah.
seasons. Yeah, Dunn had a little 2 or 3 year streak where he won. Still made the playoffs last year, but I think it's the Miners. The Aviators are just not a good team right now. They're not a bad team, but they're not good. The Bisons made a lot of offseason moves, acquiring a lot of talent, but I just don't think. I think they've gone from the bottom of the barrel to that little middle section, but I don't think they're top of the league yet. And the Red Dragons just had too many question marks in the preseason for me to believe anything yet for them.
See, let me see what the community says. We got some Bison believers in here. We got miners, mainly
If they're
miners.
saying the Bisons, they're just buying the hype.
Yeah. Uh yeah, this is pretty much I'm seeing this all Bisons and miners up to this point. And my predictions for the ARC West goes as follow. I too agree that the miners should take the West in first place. Following them, I got the Red Dragons. Despite their hiccups, I still think they have a really good roster. Coach Davis just got to figure something out and make sure they don't go into the regular season looking like they did during the preseason. And in third place, I feel like the Bison's going to be a much better and improved team with what they acquired, as Forbes talked about. And then the Aviators, I mean, we just know that they're the lowest rated overall team in the league. We saw some promise from Casey in his last preseason game. I think he's always going to, give an edge for this team, but, they just don't have the overall talent yet to even compete in this division, in my opinion. So got them as fourth. This is kind of where we predicted them to be last year. Then Kyle Bain came and changed the narrative, but he's not there no more. And we'll see if KC can possibly do the same thing. So those are my predictions. Any gripes
I'd
with the
have it just
placement?
like that. I think. No, I think that's where I'd have it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Dragons and Bisons flip. Um, if the Bisons and Torres really does take this next step that you can see him making, I'm still questionable on him. But if Torres can make that step and Savoy doesn't, I can see that flip. But right now, that's where I'd have them ranked.
Okay, cool, cool. Now we're going on to the NRC side of things, switching conferences, and we're starting in the North. So the NRC North, who do you guys got coming out on top of that one? I think that's Columbus Explorers,
The
the
Lumberjacks,
Lumberjacks,
Aaron's,
Cannons. I say Cannons, I mean, Barons,
Gunners.
and the Gunners. Yeah. So who you guys think wins the North?
It's another tough one with those top two teams,
Mm-hmm.
top three teams now.
See, we got first one Explorers, Lumberjacks, Parents, Gunners from Hodge. Explorers says Q-Pot says if DJ don't get hurt. Explorers from Rashad Mitchell. We got Gimme My Barons at 2 from Tyler Bowman. And Explorers from why am I blanking on my guy name? Brian Schneider there. and a Lumberjacks prediction from a Lumberjack himself, uh, Garrett Evans. All right. So who do you think wins the West? I mean, the North of the NRC.
NFC North. I think I'm going to go with the Explorers to bounce back and take the division after missing the playoffs entirely.
All
I think
right.
the Lumberjacks are good. The Gunners are the Gunners, and the Barons still have some stuff to figure out.
All right. So my predictions for the NRC North goes as follows. I too have the Explorers bouncing back, making the playoffs, and getting it done for Columbus this year, getting back to their glory days after having their first mishap of missing that playoffs. And then in second place, which I think these can be interchangeable depending on what goes on, because the Lumberjacks have made some huge strides since last year and that rookie season that Jordan Granger had, and they're only getting better. So I got them as a close second. Then I got the Barons, of course, with their improvements. And then, the struggles for the Gunners just always going to be that they need a lot of pieces still, especially on that O line. I feel like when you got a low overall rated line like that, it's going to be hard to keep the pressure from seeping in and getting to your quarterback. And Tyon, he's just a young guy. Still not the highest overall rated quarterback yet. He's 79, I believe, getting close to that 80. He's going to have a lot of pressure to deal with. But at least his running backs seem to be all the way checked in. So that's my reasoning behind these placements of the teams here in the NRC North. Um, any gripes with these placement?
No, that's exactly what you said. You could swap 2 and 3. I think that would be understandable, but I think first and fourth are pretty locked in.
All right, and so we we'll move on to the NRC South. Now, this is your division. The division that we're already looking at might be the most competitive this year. It was competitive last year, too. Now, it wasn't as competitive, of course, as what we saw from the East last year, but I feel like this could be the same way with how all four of those teams, talent wise, are just mapped out. So, of course, this division consists of the Diablos, the Thunderbirds, the Tigers, and the Desperados. Who do you guys think wins the South this year? Desperados won it last season.
The Desperados win it like every season and then lose immediately.
Yeah, toughest division to pick, but he says Diablos, T-Birds, Tigers, and Desperados. That is Hodge's
This
prediction.
is just the one division I think that you can make an argument for any of the 4 teams to be first.
Yeah,
Because
can happen.
the Tigers, who finished fourth last year, now like with the Bulldogs, have a fourth place schedule. They're gonna have the easiest schedule of anyone in this division.
Yeah, so that helps them out a lot there. And then even the T-Birds, I mean, they got third place schedule. So I mean,
Yeah.
that helps them out too.
So I think it's gonna be obviously I'm gonna pick myself to win the division. I think it's gonna be hardest for the Desperados to repeat as division winners with that first place schedule and with the other 3 teams in the division getting better.
All right. So seeing the predictions here, I've seen guys saying Desperados here, got Thunderbirds in here, Diablos, excuse me, I said Desperados. Nobody picked the Desperados yet. Um, but here are my NRC South Division predictions. I've got the Diablos, especially with everything you guys did, putting all the eggs in the basket to try to win within this year or next. This should be a year where you'll at least claim the South. And so I do feel like you guys have the pieces to get that done, even with the backup quarterback that you have coming in. And in second place, of course, got the Thunderbirds getting the third place strength of schedule with the team that they've got. I think that they can even rival you guys for that first in that sense. And of course, getting the last place with the Tigers schedule and their team that they got. I think got third place. And like you said, I just think it's going to be hard to repeat for the Desperados. But at the same time, let's not act like this is a team that can't do that because they do it every year. They've been doing it since Chase Mason. They did it with Kyle Bain when he was there. They did it, and they're doing it right now with Marquise Washington since they've got him last season. So, like you said, you can't sleep on any of these teams in the South, and that's the reason on why I have these teams placed in those order, in that order too. And the next up, we have the NRC East. So in the NRC East, we have the Steamers, the Marshalls, the Monarchs, and the Shamrocks. So who do you guys think wins the East? And Forbes, what's your thoughts? Who do you think takes that division?
Oh, this is hard. I think there's a clear four with the Monarchs.
Play the bell.
I think I think third is close, like 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 staring down the top two, but not quite on their level. And the top two with the Steamers and Marshalls. I think the Steamers are the better team, and the Marshalls have made a lot of progress. So I will take the Steamers to win the division, but I think the Marshalls are right behind the Steamers. And I think the Shamrocks are right behind the Marshalls.
All right.
Like you could have those top three ordered however you want, and you could have an argument for it.
Seeing everyone saying Steamers except for the Marshall guys. Got Leo Moon in here going to bat for his team. Of course, Hodge is going to pick himself, but he says on paper the Steamers win it. So a good response there from the PR team. Um, let's see, excited. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see what my predictions are for the South. No, excuse me, for the East. And I think that it goes
Yep.
just as you guys said. The Steamers, Marshalls, Shamrocks, and then Monarchs. Because of course Rodney got a lot to prove. Monarchs aren't a bad team, but they just did not improve. They didn't have too much in the draft to help them. And we'll see if the coaching can get them to be somewhat decent. And you know, it's a big task for Rodney. A lot to prove in a tough division because the Shamrocks are heavily up now. I mean, they've got young talent, all kinds of uh, playmaking ability, right? They're just going to do nothing but get better for years to come. You kind of got the same thing there with the DC Marshals, a great coach that's gone there and just taking them from on the up and up now. And then you got the return of, you know, the legendary coach of Memphis, as we could call him, Coach Justin Jones. Did not coach them last season. They missed the playoff. Well, they made the playoffs, but lost in the first round. This is the year to see, you know, with him coming back, can he whip them back into shape and make them a team that is, you know, at least getting back to the conference championship game or even competing for a Relo Bowl, which they've never won? Can he finally get it done? We will see. I think he's got the better talent, and they should win this division. But we are going to see if they could get it done. I think that the Marshalls are definitely going to give them a run for their money, and I do feel like the Shamrocks are a team that, believe it or not, you know, some guys I think kind of still sleep on them. Man, I think they can easily rival for that second place too with the Marshalls. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, and you agreed with these placements here, right?
Yeah, I think I said this exactly.
Yeah. And so we get to the last division in the RFL, and that is the NRC West, where the Relo Bowl was won by one of these teams, and that was the San Jose Condors. Big shock to the RFL community. Chase McCoy finally gets it done. Well, he's got the Snowhawks in this division, the Elks in this division, and the Crusaders. For years, this has been the Snowhawks and Elks division here, and this is the only division that did not change after the last realignment in the RFL. So this has all the kind of OG rivalries in it. Thoughts of who you think wins the NRC West, and also you community. What do you guys think in the chat?
I actually think that the NRC West is the easiest division to pick in the NRC. I think it's easily the Snowhawks should win this. Um, the Condors, it's crazy that the two Relo Bowl teams last year feel like the two teams who took the hardest regression
Yeah,
coming to this year with CT and the Condors. The Condors really fell off in terms of talent around the edges, which kind of helped them get there. Um, the Elks are just a work in progress right now. And the Crusaders are just always a team that feel like
really good, but
they
don't win the games.
yeah, like they're good. and Wakefield was always lighting it up, but he did. They just never. They've
Defense
never gotten
kills
over
them.
that hump. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this one's pretty easily the Snowhawks.
All right, I'm seeing guys in the chat. Snowhawks got a Condors vote there from Garrett. Said we most definitely win the division. Shoot, I mean the Snowhawks won it last year too. And I always say this, man. I feel like they would have won the Reload Bowl last year if they did not have to face the Condors 3 times in one season. Like they
Mm-hmm.
swept the Condors last year. So I mean, that's heartbreaking. I know, Khalil in the chat, these guys probably feel the same way. Like that was you guys' year, and it's just the luck of the draw for the Condors to somehow miraculously survive the first round against the Steamers. And after a crazy scare like that, McCoy leads the team in a crazy playoff run to win his first Reload Bowl. So that's crazy. We see mainly everyone going with the Snowhawks here. And so I do agree with you, and this is the how I feel the rest of it goes. I still feel like the Condors are going to be second. The reason why I feel that is because I do think Chase McCoy is still going to be good. They got a good stable of running backs. Clark Jagger is, man, if he continues to look like he did even in the preseason, they're going to have weapons. Like McCoy's gonna that offense is gonna still be scary. Do not sleep on them. The defense, of course, is pretty good as well. Young and getting better, and that's what helped them. Last year, like you said, but they did take some hits off that edge, and that's where they took where things kind of get rough. For the Crusaders, I just got to see them get over that hump, like you said. Is the defense going to
Yeah.
finally be good enough to stop the other teams from scoring as much to get them to be able to compete for a reload bowl and make the playoffs? I mean, it's tough. And in the Elks, I just feel like Jacob McCall just has to prove that he's that guy for these guys, right? If he can play well, get the offense rolling. The offense for this team was rolling pretty decent before, but like I think if they get their franchise guy going with Darius Martin, that good run game, and then their defense, holds up their end for a decent amount. I could see them rivaling for the third, or even potentially if he has a crazy breakout year, the second spot. It depends on what goes on with the Condors, but uh, that's my reasoning behind these 1 through 4 placements. And I see a comment, and he says, "Finna win my first Real Bowl this year." Keepak says, with the sunglasses on, he said, "We'll be all right. Just gotta be the first team to beat a team 3 times in the season. Generally don't see Elks, and dang sure don't see the Crusaders being contenders for the division for real." Yeah. And he said, man said Condors last year.
I mean, I think this is the exact order this division finished last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the predictions, or well, my predictions for how I feel like the year's going to go. I guess I'm also doing early predictions. We're going to go into who we think uh, is going to win the Reload Bowl this year, just for an early call out to see who's right from this year. But before we do that, let's get into the top 10 power rankings going into the official start of season X on who I think has the best chances of winning a Reload Bowl from 1 to 10. All right. Of course, this will start getting changed up based off of what's going on in the game. So this will look drastic. It always looks real weird in the beginning because whoever wins, they're going to be placed early up there at first, and it's going to be like, oh, why's the Elks or somebody who went 1-0 all the way at the top of the top 10 power ranking? That's the beauty of it. It looks weird at first, and it starts coming together, and it starts to shape out the real picture. But here we go. Top 10 power rankings. I think that this is the year that Forbes, you got to get it done after all these moves, man. Got to get it done. I think your team is the most primed to win a Reload Bowl this year. Your team has never done it. They've went to Reload Bowl back in season 2, first year of Chumlee, but of course, brand new guy. And you know what's crazy enough? Chumlee was a rookie that year. And this year, rookie quarterback, Colorado Rivers. Can he follow in his footsteps and potentially seal the deal this time for the franchise? We'll see. So I got the Diablos as number 1 team to win the Reload Bowl. Number 2, I've got the Portland Snowhawks because they're just a stacked team. I feel like, honestly, again, just based off the matchup they had, that's the only reason they didn't win a championship already. And then following them, I got the Bulldogs, man. This is a stacked team. We know they missed the playoffs last year, but I think they should be able to handle that division right this time. They finished last, so they should have an easy enough schedule to get there. They got a great young coach that just got in here. Looks like he knows what he's doing, and I think he's going to put the best team forward for them to win this game. And he's up there with the same type of talent right there. And at fourth, I got the Memphis Steamers. I just feel like they're a stacked team, right? That 4 through 6, these are teams that were like right there, borderline, where the T-Birds and Explorers missed, but the Steamers just made it in because nobody in that division, really had a great record like that. But I feel like it's a bounce back. You got the coach back. Let's see if he can get it done, man. Win that division and get them back on track to potentially, compete for a Relo Bowl. The T Birds, I got them. I mean, after what we've seen in the preseason, if that offense clicks, this is a scary team. The defense is not the same as it used to be in years past, but they still got some guys you need to worry about, right? So I do feel like their defense is still definitely top 10, could be even top 5 for sure this year. The Explorers, two just a talented team, always been a talented team. We feel like this is going to be their bounce back year. They did lose some pieces at the cornerback position, and they're hoping for those young guys to develop in Brian Robinson and even Tayshawn Wiggins. So we'll see how that goes. The Huskies, always seem to be in this conversation, right? Won a championship back in season 4, haven't done so since. But I mean, Calvin Poole looks like in year 3, he finally might have everything together to get this offense explosive in this team where it needs to be. Then I got the Lumberjacks at 8 with Jordan Granger and the way these guys played last year. I mean, this is a scary team. I don't think nobody wants to see, especially their run game. Their run game is so nasty. I think that's what's going to make them tough to beat for anybody because it makes them a well balanced team that you just don't know what you're going to get. It's almost impossible to stop. Then you have the Sacramento Miners. We'll see how things go with Dunn. I think again, this is definitely a team that's always got like a top 5 defense. They're going to keep their guys, keep teams in check, not scoring too many points, and give their offense a chance to put up the points to best them. And so you're looking for Miles McCain to lead them in those moments. You're looking for Steve Washington to be able to tear it up on the ground. You're honestly looking for the guy you mentioned that you traded to him, Piku McCullough, to take off. You go out there, you get a 99 overall wide receiver to add to finally make your offense be able to go over the top. Also with the weapon of Anthony Fry, and this offense is looking better. So I think they got a real shot, top 10 for the Real Bowl. And then the Condors, I decided to keep them in there. At first, I had them off, but then I was just thinking, I didn't just put them on a list because they won the Real Bowl last year. I do still feel like with the pieces they missed, I just got a feeling about this offense this year is going to be tough, just like they were last season. And the defense, uh, it might not be the best or like it was last season, but it's still a defense that I think is growing and can get better as the season goes on, and can catch you just like they did last year, and end up, in the same potential spot. So that's my top 10 power rankings going into week 1, the start of season X. What's your thoughts on this? Is there a team that's out of the top 10 that you think should be considered for a Relo Bowl? Of course, you don't expect them to win it, but do you think they should be in the top 10 that's not on here? And is there any teams on here that you would probably switch around?
Well, the first thing I'd say, it really seems like you think an NRC team's going to win this year.
Oh
You
yeah, they
got
usually have the
seven
stack
NRC
teams.
teams. Yeah. Um, I am surprised I was all the way at 1. I knew. I mean, I knew I'd be in the top 10. I know I have a good team. I know I've made all these moves. But you look through these top 10 teams, and I'm the only team who currently has a quarterback who's under an 80 overall. And obviously, a quarterback is a huge thing for a team. So I'm surprised I'm all the way at 1 right now, considering Rivers has it devved all the way up. As terms of teams, I think should be on here. I really think the Marshalls should be at 10. I like the Marshalls over the Condors right now. I think Hodge has done a lot of work over the off season, and I think it's going to show as, like you said, this thing shifts and changes. As for the teams currently on here, hmm, I feel like the Thunderbirds. I think I would switch. I think I'd move the Bulldogs up to two, and then put the Thunderbirds at three and the Bulldogs at five, and have the top four teams be NRC teams.
Oh, so you don't think that the Snark should be two, or you think they should be?
No, I think the if I'm at one, um, I think the Thunderbirds. I think the Thunderbirds right now would be my favorite if I wasn't picking my team. But
Okay.
I'm not putting them above myself. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of shocked at that. Yeah. I actually originally had the Snowhawks at first, but I made this list like way before you made even all those moves too. Like I was just like, well, if I'm looking at this on paper, the Snowhawks just have the best team, just with depth and everything right now. So that's why I was, on them at first. But then after you made those moves, I'm like, you're primed. Like this is even with him. I think you got the defense, and a guy who's committed to deving his guy to where it should all come together. Now we don't, of course, we know this all sounds good, and then you get an
yeah,
injury or something crazy happens. We know it's going to happen to somebody, but I just feel like you got a good chance. You got a good backup too, at least numbers wise. Not saying he's the greatest
yeah,
backup, but like when you're looking at it, odds are odds of winning is all about math, and if you're looking at that, high rated quarterbacks like that, uh, I think should be able to fill in and at least handle the job enough with the defense you have, bar any injuries, to get this team to finally win a reload bowl and to get one yourself. So yeah, these will all be getting posted up on social media, guys. Um, so yeah, don't worry about trying to get a screenshot of this. It'll get up on social media more than likely tomorrow night. But that is it for the top 10 power rankings. I guess at this point, you think about we make our early reload bowl predictions, man. I guess I've already showed you guys mine. I think the Diablos, just based off of everything, should win the reload bowl this year. And of course you're gonna go with yourself, but if you had to go away from yourself, you already gave that answer. You said you would go with T-Birds. I want to know in the chat, who do you guys think, if on an early reload bowl prediction, get the reload bowl this year? And if somebody gets it correct, we'll go back to this stream. They will get 50K reloads. If you guess the reload bowl champion correct here first, and then we'll come back and we'll get it. Somebody said Gunners. Look
Birds,
like somebody doesn't want reloads.
Gunners.
Snowhawks, T-Birds, got the Steamers on there. Yeah, so this is gonna make the reload bowl even interesting already early with 50K reloads for an early reload bowl prediction. This is not for coaches, Hodge. It looks like everybody just pretty much going with the team. There you go. Somebody going outside the team. Got Garrett going Bulldogs. You know what would be crazy? When somebody goes outside their team that they didn't think had a chance and then they win. That would be crazy. Steamers from Caden. Thunderbird says McCall. Diablos for sure. Is that you, Forbes?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. What I say? I want reloads. Winning the bull. Oh, that boy Tyon talking about that would be so crazy if the Gunners was the winning reload bowl, man. Said nobody wants the Diablos to win.
I mean, I want the Diablos to win personally.
But yeah, I think that is everything that we're gonna go over that we were gonna go over here. I would have did fun facts with Pat, but nothing from him this week. And so we now will, I guess, leave the floor open to you guys on who you guys on anything. You want to ask us something, uh ask us here, and we'll answer it live. What time is it? I'll be here for 4 minutes, man. Almost 10 o'clock. I do have some other things I got to do. Got to handle some team cuts. Got to call a couple guys up, let them know, hey man, your ID card's no longer valid in the facility. You know, for some guys on these RFL teams. But yeah, see what questions you guys got.
Well, Grayson, man, I'm just ready for injuries to turn back on so I can take an ACL.
Oh, the schedule. I'm tripping. We are not done.
Oh yeah, we got to do the
I didn't
schedule.
even go over what we got coming up, man. All right.
Schedule?
So
What
wait a minute,
schedule?
where
The
am
RFL stops now.
I? All right. Yeah, I'm tweaking. So what about this week coming up, man? I'm
You'll
bugging.
just see. You'll just see whatever comes out on Monday. You'll figure it out.
So here we go. Good catch, good save there, CP. So here we go. Week one schedule is going to start with the Reload Bowl champions, obviously, and that is the Condors hosting the Salt Lake City Elks. So we get our first regular season game with Jacob McCall versus the reigning champs, man. Should be a great one. Before I put these spreads, of course, in the chat, I'll read them out, of course, live here. And you let me know if you would take the team to cover the spread and who you think would win here, Forbes. So I've got the Condors getting it done in the season opener in San Jose at home by 5 or more points.
I'm taking the Condors to win by a touchdown or more. Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be the 8 p.m. Eastern game. I'm trying to see if I can do dual commentary with Mix. He said he's going to let me know how he's feeling. He was sick this past week, so that's why I couldn't call the Monday night game. So we'll see what goes on, but I'll definitely be able to call the 8 p.m. Eastern game with or without him, depending on his situation. But we'll keep you guys on standby for that. Gotta have that energy coming into the regular season, man. Tuesday, we have the Desperados versus the Thunderbirds. And the Desperados swept the Thunderbirds last year, but I'm going with the T-Birds to win it as they are revamped with a better offense and with the home field advantage in Atlanta. I got them winning by more than a field goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'm also gonna go with the T-Birds being home here.
Mhm.
Um, I just think they're not necessarily revamped, but I think the LC3 we got last year was just a down year, a fluke kind of year, and that he'll be better now. So I'm gonna go with the T-Birds with the spread.
Yeah, when you look at that year too, and just the lack of offense usually from the T-Birds, it's not usually on LC3. It's they didn't have the receivers, and now they got those, and we just saw what he looked like with them. So very interested to see what happens during this season. It's a great time to show it against Marcus Washington and those guys. Uh, Following that game, 9 p.m. Eastern, got Pecan in Louisville as the Explorers take on the Lumberjacks. Now, the Lumberjacks took the division away from the Explorers, which knocked them out of their first ever season not of making the playoffs. And I'm going to go with the Explorers, despite being on the road, getting it done by 2 or more points.
Mm. I think I'm gonna go against you here, and I'm gonna take the Lumberjacks at home. I think that home. I think these teams are very evenly matched. Um, so I'm just gonna have the home team win this one.
All right. And so we go on to Wednesday. Bisons in that new unit in full effect versus a brand new coach. Coach Rodney Goins and the Monarchs in New England. I'm going to go with the Bisons on this one to win by more than a field goal.
I'm gonna go with the Bisons too. I think Ethan Marks, Carter Delahart. They have Estes, I think his name is on
James
that D
Estes.
line. Yeah. I just don't think the Monarchs are going to be able to handle a overloaded defensive front like that. So I'm gonna go with the Bisons easily with the spread.
All right. Also at 4 o'clock, we had the Aviators versus the Huskies. Huskies look great during the preseason, and this is one of the higher spreads that I have. I've got them winning by more than 10 points with the home field advantage over the rookie KC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to take the Huskies until the Aviators show us something different in the regular season.
All right, then we get into the 6 p.m. slot of games for Wednesday. Voyagers versus Crusaders. I'm actually going Crusaders here by a field goal or more.
I'm going to take the Crusaders as well in this one. I
All
just don't think I think the Voyagers could surprise some people, and I think it's gonna be a really close game. But I don't think the Voyagers defense, um, their strong suit is the linebackers and the D line. Well, the Crusaders are known to have one of the better offensive lines in the league, so they kind of negate what the Voyagers do best on defense.
right.
And so I think Ben Wakefield is just going to pick apart that secondary.
And at 6 p.m. Eastern as well, Dreadnoughts versus Sentinels. I'm going with the Dreadnoughts here over the Sentinels by more than a field goal. Despite them having a great performance against the Steamers this past, again, they didn't have go up against those starters, but I do still feel like it was very impressive. They do have the home field advantage here, but Frankie and the Dreadnoughts, I think, will pull out that victory in Orlando.
I think I'm going to go with the Sentinels here, actually.
Oh,
Until the Dreadnoughts can figure out their quarterback situation, I can't, in confidence, pick them to beat another RFL team, no matter how good or bad they are.
all right. Then we get into the final time slot of Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Red Dragons versus Pioneers. Pioneers finished the preseason undefeated. Uh, but again, preseason, Red Dragons kind of look shaky during the preseason. I'm gonna just go with the Red Dragons in hopes of Davis potentially getting this team on track. They started out slow last year, right? You never know what can happen here. These guys are former rivals. They used to be a part of the same division. But I'm gonna go with the Red Dragons by a field goal or more.
I'll take that with the spread.
All right. And then we have the Barons versus the Miners. This was a matchup that actually took place in the preseason, and the Barons looked pretty good. And Jabri Jackson, uh, that was one of his more decent games. Still was a little sketchy. They did get pressure to him. Now he's got to face him for 4 quarters. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this matchup goes. I think it's going to be different though because I like the pressure that the Miners were able to send and kind of get Jabri off of his game, and I feel with 4 quarters, they can get that done. So I'm actually going to take the Miners here by a field goal or more.
I don't know. I was hoping I was going to be able to go against you here, but I'm also taking the Miners to beat the Barons. I think the Barons are going to figure it out, sneak into the playoffs as a maybe a 7 seed or something. But I think they're going to have early on struggles, so I'm going to take the Miners.
All right, then we get into Thursday's games. Gunners versus Snowhawks. I already talked about the type of season I think the Gunners going to go with their offensive line, and we know what that defensive line looks like for the Snowhawks. I this is the tied for the it's gonna be tied for the highest spread that I have. I've got the Snowhawks winning by 14 or more points.
I'm going to go with the Snowhawks, but I think the Gunners' run game is good enough to keep it closer than 14.
Okay, it's good. It's good there. At 4 p.m. as well, we got the Shamrocks and the Celtic Tigers. This was a massacre in the preseason, even with the starters, man. Will it be different? We'll find out. But that beating with those starters in was a little too brutal for me to take the Celtic Tigers shaking back, even with the home field advantage in Dublin. And this is I'm going to take the Shamrocks by by a field goal or more. And yeah, I just think that the Shamrocks are just too talented, and the regression has finally hit the Celtic Tigers. So where this young budding team should be able to get it done and run it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Shamrocks with you.
All right, 6 p.m. Eastern, your game. Of course, you're going to take yourself. So I'll just go ahead and let you know what the spread is, and then you can give your thoughts on the matchup, I guess, coming into it. I got the Bulls and the Diablos, another preseason game that happened that was a massacre where you guys destroyed them. I think it was 45-16. And I just
Mhm.
feel with that offensive line that they have, it's just your team is just a bad matchup for them. Where I feel like no matter what they have, it's just the odds are heavily against them. And so I'm taking the Diablos by 14 or more points here.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of our goal this year is to win in the trenches with the offensive line and defensive line that we have, and try to repeat what we did in the preseason.
Yeah. Then we have the Hogs and the Cougars. Now, the Hogs swept the Cougars last year. We know the Cougars didn't have the best season, only 2 out of 17 games won. Got the home field advantage, a revamped team here. Ronnie Shanahan will be starting the season out, of course, until he proves that he's not the guy to go with during the season. But of course, he might have a Javier Santana in the preseason moment that we just saw, and he might be able to get him back and have it 3 victories straight against the Cougars where he gets the win. I'm going to go with the Hogs, 3 or more points, and I think for the Cougars to really show, kind of like why I had them in fourth place to win the division, the Cougars have to show that those guys are going to make the difference, and they're still young. They're still young, and they have to develop throughout the year. Early on, I'm going to have to take Cincinnati for now.
I'm going to take the Cougars here. Um, love Ronnie Shanahan and everything, but I'm not quite yet a Ronnie Shanahan believer, so I'm going to take the Cougars.
All right. Then we go into the final games of the premieres, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tigers versus Armadillos. I'm going to take the Tigers in this one to win on the road in Austin by a field goal or more.
I'm also going to take the Tigers. Um, I know we give Roland a lot of a lot of crap around here, but I just don't think he's done as much testing as he's needed to or should have so far this preseason, especially with how we saw the preseason shape out. So I'm gonna take the Tigers.
And then we have the Black Knights and Bulldogs, the Battle of London, which I spoke on earlier. Uh, Bulldogs were able to get the best of the Black Knights in those matchups last year, and I think they can do it again. Got the Bulldogs by 6 or more points with the coach Bartman getting his first, coach win against the reigning MVP.
Yeah, I also have the Bulldogs winning this with the spread.
Yeah. And we get into the game of the week. Two head coaches facing off against each other. The returning head coach looking to get his team back on track with a tremendous legacy here for the Memphis organization, and the brand new head coach that has flipped the organization around from which he had gotten it and looks to make a statement that this is his division to win and not Memphis's. Steamers hosting the Marshalls. That should be an absolute banger. Definitely deserving for game of the week. I can't wait to call this one in Memphis. And how about it being in Memphis too? To be like, hey, we run this and we're going to defend our home turf and our division that we own, and it would be something to see, Coach Coach Hodge get in there and get it done. That's going to be a huge storyline to just end off the week. I'm going to go with the Steamers though, because like I've said on many things, uh, can't believe nothing until it gets proven. So we'll see if Coach Hodge has what it takes week one to throw the first punch to land on the Steamers to have them playing catch up for the season. But I have the Steamers winning by a field goal or more. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, you pretty much said it all, and I agree with you. I think just so Hodge can have his little storyline of that no one believes in him and that everyone's sleeping on him. I'm also going to take the Steamers. They are the better team on paper. And as Hodge loves to say, he's got to prove it.
Yeah,
So until I see them prove it, I'm going to take the Steamers. And now he can go tell everyone that, no one believes in his team.
there it is. So that is your week 1 schedule that will be getting posted up on social media as well. Man, we are in for an amazing season. That's all I could say. That's also it for us. And again, 4 minutes I'll leave for the community to ask questions if you have any. We'll close this at 10:15. And let me see if I can get the thumbnail back up. So anybody got anything for us before we call it a night? There it is. Hashtag prove it. Looks like we might be straight, man. Went through a lot tonight, man.
Yeah, we did. We got through it in a decent amount of time, though.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm gonna read. So, what do you expect from Stephen King Jr. from the Los Angeles Crusaders? That's a random player to throw out
From
there. He's a
from
young,
a random
yeah.
linebacker.
Nah, I know where he came. He was a beast at Miami. He got some good playing time last year. He laid some pretty big hits. I just think he's a developing player who's going to make some about the same amount of plays. Hoping for more this year from him, but a solid player for sure.
Yeah, I expect him to go out there and get some tackles and be a linebacker.
Yeah. Said Cujo. He does got that Lawrence Taylor attire, baggy sleeves and all. I don't know, but I think, man, I feel like we hit everything. So I don't think we're going to get any questions here. See, guys also uh, have been rolling out now. But we do appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and end it. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, as always, to the RFL podcast. Season X is here and starts Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Here's another look at the schedule for you guys. Elks and Condors goes down 8 p.m. Eastern, guys. Might have dual commentary again. We'll keep you guys in the loop on that. Could be me and Rob calling that one to kick things off. But that's it for me. It's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and Play-by-Play commentator, joined here along with Forbes, head coach of the Diablos, and we will be seeing you guys next time. Peace.